Let's talk about male victims of domestic violence. Hey everyone. So in this video on International Men's Day, I'm going to talk about male victims of domestic violence. So, some facts first. According to CUSC, the government watchdog of domestic violence and violence against children, men are a third of domestic violence victims. But yet services for male victims of domestic violence receive just 1.4% of domestic violence support funding. Now, it is estimated that 1 in 3 women will report being abused, but only 1 in 20 men will report being abused. So that gap could definitely be a lot smaller than 2/3 to 1/3. Now, why is it men won't report? Well, men won't, from what I've seen, from talking to various people who know a lot about the subject, men won't come forward and report being abused due to the embarrassment of being abused by a woman, or the assumption that others won't believe them. And from what I've seen in a lot of cases where men have come forward, and hearing some of the replies that they've gotten from police and from other support services, I wouldn't say that assumption is baseless. It definitely has some merit in it, from what I can see. Because there's the common line, how could she possibly hurt you? Well, if you're, women tend to use weapons in domestic violence situations as well, and that's where a lot of damage does occur. It's not from bare fists; it's with weapons, and you'd be surprised at what different weapons that they'd be using. They'd be using knives, frying pans are a common one that I've seen. So we have to kind of look away from how can a woman hurt a man, and actually start supporting men that are abused. There's also the issue of self-defense. Can a man protect himself? Can't a man protect himself in this position? Well, not really. And this is the thing that kind of sucks about the law around domestic violence. And it's also the stigma as well. It's that it will be assumed that that the men in that situation, if they defend themselves, were the aggressors in that situation. And there was, I think it was over in the US, there was a news report on this man came forward and his wife was beating him quite badly, causing serious injuries to him. And he ran. And he was actually told, you did the right thing by running. Because if she so much as broke a nail while assaulting you, we would have arrested you. That's horrifying. So, and we've actually seen several social experiments where they've actually acted men and women being abused by the other. And every single social experiment has the same result. If it's a woman being abused by a man, the public, now these social experiments are out in public, members of the public will confront the man. And rightly so. Rightly so. When the tables are turned, and it's the woman beating the man, no one did anything. And when people are actually asked, why didn't you intervene? The most common response that they get is, the man probably did something to deserve that. What? So that's where a lot of the concerns around domestic violence and male victims of domestic violence kind of comes from. And so you can actually see why the assumption that others won't believe them is there. You hear so much of these kinds of stories that they'll go, well, they won't believe me if I come forward. And so that's kind of the sad thing about it. Now, one thing I will say, and I've seen this in Ireland especially, it's starting to change. Slowly, granted, but surely. And that's progress I'm happy to see. Now, there's still a long way to go, but a small distance in that journey is better than nothing. And there are many domestic violence support groups in Ireland for men. The Men's Development Network recently started up their own support for male victims of domestic violence. And from what I can see, it's going very, very well. Now, there's another group. They were called Amen. They've actually rebranded. They're now called Annie Man. But I've actually interacted with them a bit, and it seems as if it's going a lot better for them since they rebranded. And men are definitely looking to get support from the service. And so I do encourage men to come forward when they're victims of domestic violence. Because it does not matter whether it's a man being abused or a woman being abused. They deserve the full support of society. So let's encourage men to come forward and report being abused. And let's provide them with the support they need. Happy International Men's Day.